Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Shavuot begins tomorrow night, so I wanted to make a new video about Shavuot because the last time I made a video was 2 years ago. So I wanted to just connect tonight's Shabbat story to Shavuot because I feel like it's such an important... Oh my gosh, my crystal bowl is echoing my voice. I feel like it's such an important thing to do, to connect tonight's story. Oh my God, it's actually this, you guys. All my instruments are just singing. I have to move them out of the way. They want to sing along. Okay, so I think it's really important to connect tonight's Shabbat story to the meaning of Shavuot and just combine them. I did make a video on tonight's Shabbat story. It's called Bamidbar. So if you want to dive just into that story a little bit deeper, please check out the video Bamidbar. It's in our private group Shabbat Crew on Facebook. It's also on YouTube, Rebecca Magic. And it will be also on Instagram, Rebecca Magic. But I want to make this video about the connectivity of tonight's story, Bamidbar, to tomorrow evening's holy time of Shavuot. So Bamidbar is the Torah story that prepares us for Shavuot. Bamidbar is a story that holds the keys for us to begin how we can maximize our potential to receive the incoming light of Shavuot. So let's start with a little bit about Shavuot and what that holy time is. And then we'll talk about tonight's story preparing us for that. Okay, Shavuot is one of the 3 pillar holidays of Judaism. And the 3 pillar holidays are Pesach, Passover, Sukkot, and Shavuot. While Pesach and Sukkot are like the left and right pillars, Shavuot is the middle pillar. So they're 3 very important holidays. Without the middle, we don't know how to operate the sides. Without the center, we don't have the heart. We don't have the instructions, the keys for balance, the keys for balancing the left and right pillars, or the left and right forces, or the mother-father, masculine, feminine forces of polarity. We don't know how to operate those in harmonious balance if we don't have the instructions that are held at the center, which is represented by the heart, which is represented by Shavuot. According to the Kabbalists, the consciousness of Shavuot would bring to humanity the understanding that death and aging are not a decree from heaven, but are curable conditions. Shavuot brings the consciousness of immortality. It reminds us of our true nature, our true essence as eternal light. And why? Why does it do that? Shavuot is the story where we recall the receiving of the Torah at Sinai, when Moses came down from Sinai and brought the commandments to the people. Whether or not you believe this was an actual event that took place does not matter. These stories in the Torah represent important times in space that we can align with the energy of in order to maximize our healing potential and our growth, not only as individuals, but as a collective society. So what Shavuot, the story of Shavuot is really representing is a time that we come about every year, that within nature and the cosmos, there's a key to our evolution, a key to our growth, and it's every year. So what that story of receiving the Torah is representing is receiving the remembrance of our immortality. So every year when we recall that story, what's really happening is we are remembering our immortality. We're remembering a time where we received divine instruction. We received these commandments or laws or codes that were going to help us live in harmony with the divine, live in continued connection to the divine. So every year we want to do our best to prepare for this special time, to maximize our potential to remember this truth of who we really are, maximize our potential to really connect and lock in that consciousness of immortality. And some of the keys of Shavuot are revealed in the story that comes before, which is Bamidbar, tonight's Torah story. And remember, the Torah is a sequence. So the previous story is always preparing you for what's to come. So in Bamidbar, there's a count of all the tribe members. And if you recall in the story of Shavuot at Sinai, there were 600,000 Jews. I want to remind you, when we're talking about Jewish mysticism, there are keys for anyone, whether Jewish or not. And therefore, the definition of a Jew transforms into someone who is connected to the divine, someone who is a light world bridger, somebody who wants to unite in the shared ideal of bringing heaven to earth. Is that you? Then these keys are for you. Okay, so when we're speaking from a perspective of Jewish mysticism, we redefine the word Jew. So there were 600,000 of these light world bridgers. So in Bamidbar, we do a count of all of the tribe members, which is reflecting the need to have a certain number of beings coming together to make this event happen. The other point that's revealed in Bamidbar is before we're going to receive the light of Shavuot, before we receive the Torah, all that represents, we need to actually gather. So it's not just about taking count of how many there are, how many beings that are waking up, you could say, or how many beings are remembering. It's also about how can we gather those beings, at least in consciousness, at least virtually, right? With all of the blessed technology we have in 2022. But really, if we can gather physically, be in each other's presence. So it's about taking count. How many awakened ones are there? And then how can we gather together to the best of our ability, unite? And then how can we remember our shared goal, our shared ideal of bringing heaven to earth, or in short, in one word, peace? So before we receive that light of Shavuot, before we come to this special time in the divine within the divine cycle, right, that Shavuot represents within nature and the cosmos, before we approach that moment in time and space, how can we prepare our best? That's what Bamidbar tells us, the secrets of preparation for receiving that light, to maximize our potential as individuals and as a collective consciousness. And those keys are taking the count, who's awake, unity, unifying, and peace, the intention in which we are gathering. And the whole idea of taking that count as well really touches on the wisdom that quantity does indeed enhance quality. You often hear of the wisdom quality over quantity, and absolutely it's true, but there's always an equal and opposite truth. Sometimes quantity really does matter. And it enhances the power and the potential of the collective. We can do more if we unite. Remember the virtue of inclusiveness, the virtue of inclusivity. Alone, we have everything we need within. But when we unite, if it's for a divine purpose, if it's with that shared divine ideal, then we can do more. Together, we are better. And this is a big message of Bamidbar, the story preparing us for Shavuot, and it's a big message for Shavuot. Because remember, if Shavuot is all about reconnecting to the light of our immortal consciousness, our conscious immortality, then we must remember the collective. Because we are one whole. And this was represented by the way that the Jews, or the children of Israel, gathered at Mount Sinai and camped. Unity is key. Together, we are better. In remembering our wholeness as one consciousness, as one collective consciousness, only then can we tap into that self-conscious immortality. You can never reach that level of immortal consciousness without the understanding and the remembrance that we are one. There is no achieving self-conscious immortality. There is no remembering that death is an illusion. until we remember that we are one. And that's really it on my notes, but I really want to make sure that everyone understands how to best prepare for this incoming light, because tomorrow evening begins Shavuot. And remember, it's not just about receiving the Torah, it's what does the Torah represent? It represents that divine instruction to live according to law so that we can live our best life as individuals and as a collective. So that we can live in remembrance of who we truly are and why we're truly here, so that we can live gracefully and in harmony with the forces of nature and the cosmos. So that we can absolutely maximize our potential with all that God has given us, that all that God continues to give, so that we can remain awake and aware to the signs that are always within us and around us to enhance the life experience for one and all. That's what Shavuot is about. So how do we prepare? Remember, the story before Bamidbar, Bechukotai, was all about the curses. What happens when we don't live by the commandments? So Bamidbar is about creating a wall between us and those curses. And how do we do that? By building positivity, by neutralizing the negativity, by doing the work and putting in the effort to clear and cleanse and purify ourselves in mind, body, spirit, to get ready for that light that is coming in. Get ready for that light that's on its way. Get ready for that remembrance. How can we empty our vessel? How can we clear ourselves the most to make the greatest space to be filled with the most light and the most remembrance? How can we do the preparation work to do our best to consciously participate in what is already an organic and inevitable process, right? Like, do the initial tidying, cleanse the cobwebs so that when that light comes in, it can blast the rest away. The more layers you have, the more it's going to take for that light to get in and reach the center. So do that initial clearing, participate consciously to the best of your ability. Assist the universe in this process of preparing yourself and our one self to receive the Torah again, to receive the remembrance again, to wake up all over again. That's what Shavuot is about. And remember, without this returning to the center, remember Shavuot is the middle pillar of the three holidays, it's the center. Without returning to the center point, we don't have the instructions that we need to live life. We don't have the instructions that we need to maintain balance between the right and left pillars. So the degree to which we access the light of Shavuot will determine the degree to which we can healthily maintain a balance in all areas of our lives, mentally, physically, and spiritually throughout the rest of the year. This is it, you guys. This is the big one. Pesach and Sukkot are 7 days. We don't have that much time with Shavuot. It's a much shorter time. It's condensed because we don't need more time. It's the center point. We just need to get there. Truly get there, return to the center, and there will lie everything that we need for the rest of the year, for the year ahead. And then we return again next year to this place, hopefully with greater strength and greater light. Those are the cats you hear running around and slamming into the walls right now. So this is such an important time. And I know it feels very serious because, like I said, the degree to which we harness this light will determine the rest of our year. But it's also a joyous time. Remember, what do you think it felt like at that time when the Torah was originally received, when these Israelites gathered for the first time? Wow, so powerful. Here we are, united in this one goal with our faith and our belief that we're going to receive these divine instructions to live the rest of our lives in connection to the divine. How do you think they felt? Remember at Sinai, the clouds and the thunder and how profound, how powerful the setting was. There is that feeling, that profound and intense feeling, but there's also the joy, the magnificence, the wonder, and the awe of what we're about to receive. And know that when you hold that gratitude, it can carry you through the intensity, the heaviness, and the seriousness of the situation. Gratitude is a shortcut to coming to that frequency of receptivity to the divine. Gratitude is it, and gratitude is joy. So it can be fun. It can be lighter if you allow it. if you can be grateful for this light we're about to receive, it makes the work a lot easier. It makes you say, oh, I'm happy to do this work. Oh, I'm happy to detach and let go of all of these things that were in the way of me and the divine, because there's no greater feeling than that. Okay, so remember, in order to really maximize the potential of this special moment that's approaching tomorrow evening, gather with your loved ones, gather with your friends, surround yourself with people that will meet you in a space of awareness, of presence, of remembrance of who we truly are and why we're here. Gather with those people who want to live the same way you do, who want to live in a way that brings heaven to earth, who want to live in service, who want to be of service, selfless, who want to unite, who want to live according to the law, want to be in harmony with nature and the cosmos. Gather with those people right now. This is the time of year where it's most important to gather together with people like this, surrounding yourself with people like this. You hear about this all the time. Surround yourself with people you admire, who you respect, who you want to be like. Well, what is a greater model or example than one who wishes to bring heaven to earth? Surround yourself with these beings right now. Gather as much of them as possible. Know that it's a mitzvah. It's a very high, good deed to bring these people together right now. Have a gathering, have a festival, go to a temple, be in prayer with people who meet you there. And remember the shared goal of peace. Carry that awareness in your mind and know that the cats are ringing the crystal bowl. I'm not even kidding. And know that you have this great opportunity right now to do big work in unification when we remember our shared goal of peace. So Shabbat Shalom, Bamidbar, preparation. You have until tomorrow night to do your best to get in that mindset to be able to receive the maximum amount of light. And I encourage you to do your own research on Shavuot. Just Google or go on YouTube, Kabbalistic information or Kabbalah on Shavuot. There are so many beautiful resources out there, so many rabbis and so many just beautiful beings sharing their wisdom. And if you have any pearls of wisdom you want to share with us, please do so in our private group, Shabbat Crew on Facebook, or just comment on any of the videos across Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram. The whole point is so that we can spread this awareness and share in this wisdom. Okay? It's all for one and one for all. Shabbat Shalom. Chag Sameach. Enjoy, you guys. Have a meaningful one.